changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Thoughtful Thursday, and Valentine's Day is just 5 days away. So I know some people, especially of the male persuasion, are starting to panic. I know that my husband is. He still hasn't finished Christmas in his mind because we were supposed to go shopping together, and then that didn't happen, and then my mother got sick, and then all the bad stuff happened that you already know about. And we're not really thinking about Valentine's Day this year, what with everything that's going on in my family. But normally, by now, my husband is beginning to panic. He basically has a half-year period that he hates. It starts with our anniversary in November, followed by Christmas in December, Valentine's Day in February, and then my birthday in April. And after that, he relaxes because he has 6 months before the horror of trying to come up with presents is upon him again. Every year, Bill sweats it out, but honestly, I don't care. I don't want flowers or candy or anything. Buying me something doesn't mean nearly as much as doing something for me. The fact that he takes out the garbage most Mondays and Thursdays is way more meaningful than any purchase gift. Hearing that garage door open and those trash pails being dragged out is such a sweet sound, sweeter than any candy could ever be. I think what we all want is appreciation and consideration. And that's what Zoanne Wilkie talks about in her story called Thanks for the Flowers, which is in a very fun book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Married Life. Zoanne starts off the story by telling us that she was listening to a song on the radio about someone who had stopped bringing flowers to his wife. She thought about it, and then she realized that her own husband probably hadn't brought her flowers in 25 years, not since their youngest child was born. She was getting ready for work, and she was dreading going outside in the cold to start up her old car, which was a real pain to start. To start her car, you had to open the hood, jiggle some things, and then go in the car and fight to get it started. But then when she went out to the car that day, she discovered it was already warm, and it started right up, and she realized that her husband had already gone out and done the hard work of opening up the hood and jiggling that thing to get the car going, so that all she would have to do was turn the key. And that made her think about flowers and realize that him getting the car ready for her was better than any flowers. She picked up the phone and she called her husband and she said, "David, thank you for the flowers. What a nice thing to do." He was a little confused, but he said, "Sure." Later that week, Zoanne found that the trash compactor had already been emptied. She called her husband again, and she thanked him for the flowers again. Every time that David did something nice for her, Zoanne translated it in her mind into flowers. One time it was daffodils, another time it was daisies, another time David did something so nice that it was 3 dozen long-stemmed American Beauty roses. Now, Zoanne is an inspirational speaker, and she speaks at retreats and conferences. And one time, she was speaking at a women's weekend retreat, and it was an audience she had spoken to before, and she privately called them Mount Rushmore because they would just sit there with their faces set in stone. So she called her husband, and she said, "I'm really worried about speaking to this audience again. They're so unresponsive." And the next thing she knew, he was knocking on her hotel room door at midnight. He had driven an hour to get there to help her. She says she can still see the bouquet of flowers in her mind's eye that she awarded him for showing up that night. One husband, whose wife was on a retreat where Zoanne spoke about this concept of flowers, said that his wife came home after hearing her speech and started thanking him for flowers all the time. And he said it changed their marriage. She kept thanking him for flowers, and he said, "Now I lie awake at night thinking about what I can do for her." So if your wife loves dancing and you never go because you don't like it, take her dancing. If your boyfriend's car is a mess, but he can't face getting it washed, take it to the car wash for him and vacuum it too. When I looked at my own calendar to see what we've done on recent Valentine's Days, I discovered to my surprise that on Valentine's Day 2013, my husband and I went out to dinner, and then we went to a movie, and it was the latest movie in the Die Hard series. not exactly the romantic comedy I would have chosen, and I realized that sitting through that film must have been my gift to my husband for Valentine's Day that year. I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. If you want to read some more tips from the book I mentioned, Chicken Soup for the Soul Married Life, please visit our website, chickensoup.com. And join me tomorrow for Friend Friday. We're going to be talking to Pauline Fromer. She is that wonderful travel expert who runs Fromer's Travel. She's going to stop by to discuss all the benefits of travel and how to put together the most stress-free, stimulating, and enjoyable trips.